Okay, hopefully you can all see that. Well, thank you very much for inviting me to give this talk today. I'm really excited about being able to talk as part of the Sustainable Fashion event tonight at the cafe. My talk this evening discusses our research project, which is called Augmented Fashion, where we're exploring how interactive and immersive technologies can be used to inform and educate about the heritage and value of traditional artisan textiles and craft skills, both here in the UK, specifically in Scotland, but also in China, where both countries have long histories and cultural traditions related to fashion and textiles. We have three key objectives as part of our research. Firstly, to enhance understanding of sustainable clothing production, leading to the appreciation of slow fashion values and a more sustainable consumption of fashion and clothing. Secondly, to develop a deep understanding of immersive technologies and how their applications can be used by fashion and textile practitioners. And finally, to facilitate global interdisciplinarity between computer sciences and the creative fashion and textile industries. So just to give you some project background, I mean, as our lives have become increasingly digital and fast-paced, our research explores how these technologies can be used to revalue handmaking that can reconnect people with clothing and textiles in a more meaningful way. Specific emphasis within the project is on communicating to consumers how our clothes are made and the importance of moving to more sustainable methods of fashion production. The project explores how immersive experience, and by this I mean augmented and mixed realities, which I'll talk about further, could be used to represent and preserve the living history and heritage of traditional fashion and textile products for future generations. So current generations of consumers are now far removed from how their clothes are produced, often with little awareness or genuine interest in the sources of the materials and the manufacturing processes that generate them. Fashion drives our demand for newness, where it uses resources that are limited and potentially damaging to the environment, creating excessive and unnecessary landfill waste. We buy over a megaton of clothing just in the UK each year, yet wear only 44% of our wardrobes. We have become removed from how our clothes are made, where many see fashion as fast, disposable clothing, worn for a short period of time, often only once. Fast fashion has pushed prices down, moving production to low-cost labour countries where workers are often not even paid a living wage. Importantly, the pressure to move towards a more sustainable fashion and textile industry has grown, where traditional methods of textiles and clothing manufacture using natural renewable sources that are inherently long-lasting could offer a slow fashion alternative to our current fast fashion world. So China and UK both have long histories and cultural traditions related to textiles and clothing. In Scotland, which is the main focus for our research, has a rich history of woven tweeds and tartans, knitted cashmere and woolens that continue to survive today through new and heritage textile companies such as Harris Tweed and Fair Isle Knitting. They continue to produce hand-finished textiles where many of their manufacturing processes are still rooted in traditional making techniques. Similarly, parallels can be drawn with China's rich history of cultivating and producing beautiful silk products, such as the traditional dresses of the Qipai and Hanfu and Songxin, and their position as one of the world's largest textile and clothing producers. Chinese textiles were amongst the most powerful commodities in world history. The oldest piece of silk cloth found in the world originates from China. When we talk about textiles as being an ancient tradition, we're actually talking about a cultural practice as old as the world's first systems of writing, mathematics, and even the wheel. We are interested in how we can preserve the traditional textile techniques that are at risk of being lost due to global industrialized manufacture, revaluing the human effort that makes our clothes, and to revalue the creative design process at a time when design is becoming increasingly homogenized due to global fast fashion, which loses the cultural identities and significance of our textiles to a geographical place. So what are immersive technologies and how are they currently being used within fashion and textiles? Immersive technologies are best described as a mix of technologies that can mimic our physical world, recreating the sensory feelings and sensations that make a virtual experience feel real. Augmented reality, or AR as it's often shortened to, can be confused with virtual reality, VR, but they are very different. While virtual reality blocks off the outside world and can enclose you in a virtual world, augmented reality overlays the real world with digital imagery. Unlike VR, which still isn't widely used for a variety of reasons, AR does not require dedicated immersive hardware like headgear, goggles, and gloves, where it is built to work on smartphones and tablets, making it more accessible. Within fashion retail, augmented reality is now being used to revolutionize how customers interact with brands. The image on the left shows fashion retailer Topshop, who gave customers specifically commissioned virtual reality headsets to enter a 360-degree virtual world of a live Topshop fashion show. The headsets gave customers a live feed of the Topshop catwalk show, as well as all the backstage action. Special cameras recording the scenes were used on the catwalk and backstage, so that each participant was able to look around at models and celebrities as part of the event. The image in the middle shows how augmented reality can be used to layer virtual objects onto the real world. Zara here used augmented reality displays, where customers could hold their mobile phones in front of a shop window to see models wearing pieces from the latest line. And the image on the right-hand side shows British designer Christopher Rayburn's immersive digital fashion show. Inspired by all things natural, such as rain, wind, and the sun, this fashion show was a memorable experience. The models were featured in a 360-degree immersive installation that was surrounded by digitized interpretations of the weather. One display featured models surrounded by green swirls that represented wind, while another showed them encased in a star-like sphere. This digital fashion show combined with fashion with technology in a way that revolutionized the fashion show concept. Pressure has moved towards a more sustainable fashion and textile industry, recognizing that the industry has a disastrous impact on the environment, being the second largest polluter in the world after the oil industry. Our project is interested in how we can form new relationships between fashion and technology. Immersive technologies can support traditional methods of textile and clothing manufacture to offer a fashion alternative to this fast fashion emergency. For example, how could virtual reality be used as the ultimate empathy machine, transporting consumers to a closed landfill site through a virtual reality headset to experience the enormity of the emergency? So after talking about the context and background behind our research, I'm now going to talk a bit about our project and our team, and both in the UK and in Shanghai, and what we've done so far and some of the highlights. Our UK team comprises of 3 academics at Robert Gordon University here in Aberdeen, where the project is led by Dr. Yang Jiang, who's in the middle, from the School of Computing, by Karen Cross, who's just to the right of Yang, from the School of Creative and Cultural Business, and then myself to the right of Karen, who from Grey School of Art. So we're a real multidisciplinary team, and that's very important when you're bringing creative industries together with technology. In the first phase, our UK industry partners included Margaret MacLeod from Harris Tweed Hebrides, and also Kirsten Stewart, who's an Orkney-based printed textile designer, and they're just to the left of Yang. In Shanghai, our Chinese principal academic partner is Professor Rong Zheng from Donghua University. And Donghua University is known as the China Textile University and is internationally renowned for their design and materials disciplines. We're also working with a number of Chinese industry partners, including the Shanghai Promotion Center for the City of Fashion, which promotes the construction of Shanghai as the fashion capital of China. And we have in the UK, we have been able to visit Orkney, Harris and Shetland to build our partnerships and research collaboration opportunities. right across Scotland and within the Shanghai region. So on our first trip to Shanghai last year with our UK industry and creative partners, we were there for 5 days and we were able to meet our academic and industry partners in China. During this visit, we had meetings at the university, exchanging ideas and practices, and visited many of the textile cultural museums and archives where Donghua University has its own designated museum of Chinese textiles. We were fortunate also to go during Shanghai Fashion Week and able to experience the excitement of fashion shows and previews, while also participating at an international conference at the University on Textile Technology. So really through meeting our academic partners, we were able to share stories, build our mutual understanding and interest in working together. And also, importantly, as part of our visit, was understanding the unique Chinese culture, heritage and contemporary lifestyles. Shanghai is a unique city. I've never visited a city like it. And it's the cultural capital of China and the largest city, not only in China, but in the world, with a population of 24 million, in comparison with the population of Scotland as a mere 5.5 million, gives you some idea of the scale, not only of the city, but also the size of the country. Highly sophisticated and modern, while also firmly rooted in its past and traditions. China is a very complex country. Visiting China helped us to understand both the opportunities, but also the challenges of working in partnership, where our culture, heritage, customs, politics, and values are so uniquely different. For example, within textiles, their perception of material qualities is very different from our own. So developing mutual understanding of their culture has been incredibly important in building relationships and partnerships as part of the project. In May last year, we held a workshop at the Robert Gordon University that explored the opportunities and challenges that exist in the areas of fashion, textiles and immersive technologies. We invited representatives from across the university and other universities within Scotland, creative and industry, historic archive and art organisations. So we had a really fantastic mix of over 30 contributors during the day, where we had presentations, discussions around the topic of augmented fashion. All our presentations are available through our website, where the address can be found on the final slide of this presentation. We also explored cultural representations, including what do we think of when we talk of made in China and made in Scotland, to challenge cultural stereotyping and misperceptions. So the key workshop findings have really helped us to form the next stage of our project, where we found that storytelling and provenance, the story, the narrative behind our objects and products, is really fundamental when thinking about the augmented fashion and the use of technology within culture and artisan craft practices. The human interaction and humanity is also so important in this new world of AI, augmented realities and immersive technologies, and how important technology merely facilitates the process of communication and information. And I think finally, one of the kind of key things that we found was the importance of authenticity, communicating the personal interaction to appreciate the value in handmaking. So all these findings were significantly helped us in developing a far more substantial project, where our partnership development is now well in place across 2 countries, and we've now secured funding for a 3-year project. So just finally, really just to give you a few highlights from the project so far. Through our exchange visits to Shanghai, we've been able to promote and introduce Shanghai-based fashion design brand Cindy Sung to Harris Tweed, Hebrides brand, and their Shanghai agents, resulting in Cindy Sung now developing a range utilising Harris Tweed cloth as a direct impact. And we've also developed a new project with Harris Tweed Hebrides to embed design-led innovation and explore sustainable manufacturing practices within the brand. And this 2-year project will start early next year. Also, as part of our project, we're shortly, in just 2 weeks' time, going to be delivering a sustainability event as part of our commercialisation workshops, where we're delighted to have some key speakers from across Scotland. Lynn Wilson, who's a circular economy expert, Claire Campbell from Prickly Thistle, whose company focuses on sustainable tartan, Joan Johnson from Ava Innes, who's looks at sustainable and recycling of cashmere products into homeware, and Mary Lowe from Sustainable Fashion Scotland. Details of this event will be publicised very shortly, and it will be, as all events are at the moment, online, so we welcome anybody who would like to join us for this event. So finally, just thank you very much for listening. You can find out more about our project by visiting our website, which is www.augmentedfashion.co.uk, where we'll be continually updating our work as the Augmented Fashion project continues. Thank you very much.